From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Labor groups continue to urge DOLE to increase workers' subsidy and minimum wages amid rising prices of goods. The Transportation Department insists the adjustment cost on 48 trains procured from China must be shouldered by the Dalian company. And former Senator Bongbong Marcos wants Presidential Electoral Tribunal to look into the swimming party of its staff with Vice President Robredo's revisor. Good evening. Oil industry players are set to impose a 30 to 40 centavos per liter increase in prices of gasoline this week. The price hike also takes effect in diesel at 40 to 50 centavos per liter, while up to 70 centavos per liter in kerosene. The price increase is due to the adjustment in prices of oil in the international market. The Department of Labor and Employment is looking to announce by mid-July the decision on the wage and subsidy petitions filed by the labor groups. Here's why from Ray Palayo.
Labor groups continue to urge the authorities to approve their petitions seeking to increase the subsidy and minimum wages of workers. The Associated Labor Union's Trade Union Congress of the Philippines says the rising prices of basic goods and fuel products in the market prompted them to file the request earlier than the one-year mark of the wage increase, which is in October. This is aside from the surging inflation and depreciation of Philippine peso against US dollar.
Ang aming inihiling ay 320 pesos across the board wage increase.
According to Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III, regional wage boards are still hearing the petitions and they are looking to announce the decision by mid-July. Secretary Bello adds he already submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte the proposal for a 200 peso monthly subsidy that will benefit around 4.1 million minimum wage earners in the country. Bello is hoping that the President will announce his decision on the bill during his SONA on July 23rd.
Ito isang konting tulong lang na cash subsidy galing sa ating gobyerno.
The Ibon Foundation, meanwhile, is favoring wage increase than subsidy, reiterating that imposing a wage hike will just cut a small portion of the business owner's income.
Yung sinasabing pa nilang subsidy, isa yung mekanismo that is unmanageable and costly for government para lang maprotektahan niya yung business profits.
Ray Palayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos is urging the Presidential Electoral Tribunal to look into an alleged outing of the staff conducting the election recount, which was joined by a revisor from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
The camp of former Senator Bongbong Marcos files a manifestation before the Presidential Electoral Tribunal seeking to probe the outing of staff conducting the election recount on June 22. He claims the event of the PET's head revisors, chief tabulator, appraiser, and ballot box custodians in a resort in Pansol, Laguna was attended by a revisor from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, identified as Osmundo Abuyuan. Marcos's camp even showed some photos of the said outing that were posted in social media account of certain Maria Catrina Cheche Rosales, who is one of the PET head revisors. The former lawmaker's legal counsel stresses this is a clear act of impropriety as the manual recount of votes in the 2016 vice presidential race is still ongoing.
Alam naman po natin, sila po yung may control sa each and every clustered precinct na nagaganap yung manual recount and judicial revision. And with this manifestation of grave concern, with extreme urgent motion to investigate, kami po ay nananawagan sa mga PET head revisors. We're calling on them to please, they should be mindful of their actions.
The said individuals are tasked to identify questionable ballots, valid, rejected, or stray votes, and the only persons authorized to hold documents from the vote counting machines or ballot boxes in the said recount.
they should be disqualified. Sapagkat kung ikaw ho ang nasa panig naman ni Senador Marcos, hindi po ordinaryo empleyado ito ng PET. Head revisers po ito. Ito po yung initially nagde-determine kung compromise yung ballot boxes.
VP Robredo's camp, however, insisted in a statement that there was nothing wrong in the activity because the PET head revisers invited all revisers from both parties. They also revealed that Marcos's camp even sent food for the outing, which they consider as laudable considering the growing tensions during the revision proceedings. It can be noted that last week, the PET slapped both camps with a 50,000 peso fine for their alleged transgressions of the sub judice rule, which prohibits parties from discussing an ongoing case in public. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Pollster Pulse Asia Research Incorporated releases Monday the latest survey on voters' preferences for the May 2019 senatorial elections. Senator Grace Poe remains the frontrunner, followed by Congresswoman Pia Cayetano and Senator Cynthia Villar. The so-called winner's circle, if elections were held during the survey period, also includes Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, Senator Sonny Angara, former Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Bureau of Corrections Chief Ronald De La Rosa, Senator Coco Pimentel, and Senator Nancy Binay, while 6 to 16 places includes former Senator Sergio Osmeña, former Senator Lito Lapid, Senator JV Ejercito, and Senator Bam Aquino. Several key developments that dominated the headlines while conducting the survey include the ouster of Maria Lourdes Sereno as Chief Justice, the indictment of former President Noynoy Aquino for usurpation of budgetary powers of Congress in connection with his approval of the Disbursement Acceleration Program, and the start of the regional consultations on the draft federal charter. The survey was conducted from June 15 to 21, 2018. The Transportation Department reveals that based on the audit report, Dalian trains procured from China could still be used on the MRT-3 if some adjustments are made. However, the agency insists this should be at no cost to the Philippine government. Here's why from Joan Nano.
The Department of Transportation discloses some of the results of the independent audit and assessment made by Thio Rhineland on the 48 unused Dalian trains procured from China. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade notes the train cars purchased from CRRC Dalian Company in 2013 did not entirely fail the audit but were found to have variations in measurement and weight specifications. He adds these trains can still be used if the recommended technical adjustments would be addressed.
Pag rinipaso mo yung evaluation, para bang sinasabing pag ito'y nasa ayos sa tamang pamaraan at sa spare parts, pwede mo pang magamit yung bagon at tren without sacrificing the safety, the security and life of the passenger and the system.
Tugade says they have met with the officials of the Dalian Company and agreed to fix the trains and purchase new spare parts to make it compatible with the MRT-3 system. But he insists this should be at no cost to the Philippine government.
Kung may mga dapat gawin at dapat lang namang gawin kung gusto natin gamitin, lahat ng gastusin na yon ay aabsorben ng Dalian without a single cent of expense from the government.
The government is set to conduct a high-level meeting with their Chinese counterparts on August 20 to finalize the adjustments to be made on the said trains. But the department refuses to disclose the specific parts of the train that needs to be adjusted so as not to preempt the possible conditions they might agree with China. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority clarifies that the agency's plan to limit provincial bus operations in EDSA does not include point-to-point or P2P buses en route Rizal, Pampanga, and Laguna. MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia says the new scheme, which will take effect on August 1, will cover provincial buses with routes different from the said three areas. On July 23, the MMDA will hold a dry run of the new traffic management scheme that aims to minimize the volumes of vehicles in EDSA to give way to road reblocking and flood control projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways. The age-old adage, honesty is the best policy, still rings true for the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board as it recognizes a taxi driver's deed this morning. Let's find out why from Charlie Barredo.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board rewards a taxi driver who has shown honesty at a flag ceremony this morning. Taxi driver Rodney Malari receives a certificate and a gift item from the agency for returning the valuables left by a passenger he picked up at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport.
Last Monday po, sumakay nga po si ma'am coming from Terminal 2. So, nang naiya, Terminal 2. So, si ma'am medyo nahirapan na naka-wheelchair nga po siya.
After the passenger alighted from his vehicle, he noticed a black pouch which contained an iPhone 8, some identification and credit cards, and cash worth 50,000 pesos and $2,000 US. He says he returned the belongings to the passenger identified as Belenzosa Zwelgler, for it was the right thing to do even if he is struggling to get by with his measly income. Malari adds he is happy and thankful for being recognized as helpful and honest.
Masarap sa pakiramdam po. No? Hindi ko po alam na ganito. May interview, mapupunta ako sa kung saan-saan. So akala ko lang po, yun nga, sinabi ko kanina, parang nagsoli lang ako ng hindi ko na-expect na ganito kalaking impact na ginawa ko pala.
The LTFRB routinely hails honest public transportation drivers in a bid to encourage drivers to resort to positive deeds and uphold true public service. Charlie Barredo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources Region 7 once again recognizes UNTV during its 4th Gawad Tugas Awards. Vincent Arboleda tells us why.
UNTV receives another award from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources for its efforts to protect nature during the 4th Gawad Tugas awarding ceremony held in Cebu City last June 27. The TV station is one of the agency's media partners in its advocacy on environmental conservation. This is the second consecutive year that the station received such award because of its regular tree planting activity and clean-up drive in cooperation with the members Church of God International.
We just want to give recognition to the environmental partners, then those deserving na mga institutions who are helping us in our programs, in our efforts to protect our environment. So, time for them to be given that recognition and commendation. So we do this every year.
Other sectors and individuals are also cited by the DENR for implementing programs relating to biodiversity conservation and management, responsible mining, clean air and water, and solid waste management. The DENR 7 also underscores the importance of continued cooperation between private and public sectors to ensure successful government projects.
There's only somebody who can be a role model in responding to the call to work on for the protection of our environment.
The agency also hopes that UNTV and other groups will continue to support its programs to protect the environment for the next generations. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. Senate Sentinels to go against the undefeated PNP responders at the much-awaited off-season playoffs on Sunday. And Wish 1075 marks another milestone as its YouTube channel subscribers hit 3 million. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of Y News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo Castro III and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I am Angelo Castro III. Here are the headlines. Consultative Committee submits to President Rodrigo Duterte its proposed federal charter. House and the Senate members begin holding a bicameral conference to iron out differences in the versions of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. And Malacanang insists there is no system or pattern in the spate of killings of local government officials. Good evening. The Consultative Committee tasked to review the 1987 Philippine Constitution submits to President Rodrigo Duterte its proposed federal charter. The CONCOM also expresses willingness to revise their transitory provisions based on the latest directive of President Duterte. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
After 4.5 months of deliberations, the Consultative Committee has submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte the proposed federal charter in Malacanang at past 4 this afternoon.
In drafting this proposed constitution, we were guided by one directive which you gave. Do what is best for the people. We thank you, Mr. President, for this full trust and confidence. And we assure you that the Consultative Committee did its work with complete independence and unbiased by any partisan politics or by any elite interests.
Retired Supreme Court Chief Justice Rheena, chair of the Consultative Committee, says the proposal includes several important provisions such as prohibition of political dynasties and political turncoatism. In the economic aspect, the draft constitution also prohibits monopolies and oligopolies that lessen competition in the market. Aside from this, the proposed federal constitution also strengthens the government institutions to fight graft and corruption, such as Office of the Ombudsman and the Commission on Audit. The proposal also indicates the inclusion of socio-economic rights in the Bill of Rights, such as adequate food, comprehensive health care, complete education and adequate and decent housing, livelihood and employment opportunities which people can demand from the government. The chief executive plans to turn over the draft federal charter to the Congress on July 23, his SONA day during the opening of the 18th Congress session. Malacanang says President Duterte will encourage his party mates to review the proposed revisions. However, it would still depend to the Congress whether or not they will adopt the proposed revisions. Meanwhile, CONCOM expresses willingness to review and revise the transitory provisions based on the latest directive of President Duterte. President Duterte wants to have a coterminus on the transition from unitary to federal government and does not want to extend his term beyond 2022. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Members of both chambers of Congress have started holding a bicameral conference to reconcile the differences between their respective versions of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. On the first day of deliberations, the Bicam approves the 75-25 Bangsamoro and central government wealth sharing, but they disagreed on the number of areas to be included in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Grace Casin tells us why.
Members of the Senate and the House of Representatives converged on Monday to begin ironing out disagreeing provisions in the respective versions of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. On the first of the expected 3-day meeting, the 29 members of the respective chambers, delegated as conferees, agreed to automatically release the black grant to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region or the total government revenue collection by 5%. The internal revenue sharing will be 75-25. But they disagreed on the areas to be placed under the Bangsamoro region after senators cited legal and security issues on Bangsamoro Transition Commission's proposal. BTC wants to include through a plebiscite the 39 villages in North Cotabato, along with 6 municipalities of Lanao del Norte, including Cotabato City, Isabela City, and Basilan.
Yung pagdating sa plebiscito, yung direct involvement ng isang municipality or ng isang probinsya, kung dapat bumoto lahat ang buong probinsya at kung ano yung effect ng buong probinsya sa isang municipality, yung mga ganun. Dahil may mga request yata yung ibang kampo na maaaring hindi tumapat doon sa sinasabi ng konstitusyon.
There are security implications. The 39 barangays in contention here, which is the barangays in North Cotabato, and the 6 municipalities of Lanao Norte are areas of areas of concern, security concerns. These are areas where some of the biggest MILF camps are located. My fear is they will not conform with the peace process if they will not be given the opportunity to be democratically or given a democratic process to choose if they can join or not the new Bangsamoro. So may security concerns yan eh.
The BTC also insists against approving a BBL version that is weaker than the Republic Act 9054, which created the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or ARMM. The Commission also asserts it would only accept a version that will not reduce any of the benefits from the ARM already enjoys. House Majority Floor Leader Rudy Farinas and Senate President Tito Soto meanwhile assures that the final BBL version will be constitutional.
Basta importante, yung mga constitutional issues ma-resolve. Sapagkat yun ang kinakabahan tayo na baka maging pumasa man sa amin, i-ratify man namin, pag may nag-question sa Supreme Court na baril, mahirap, no?
We will have to ensure that anything we do and everything that we do here will be compliant to the Constitution because surely this will be challenged.
The Bicam targets to ratify its report during the opening of the congressional sessions on July 23 to be forwarded to President Rodrigo Duterte for signature before his third State of the Nation address. A plebiscite will then be held 60 to 90 days after its enactment. Grace Cassin, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte holds a dialogue with Catholic Bishop Conference of the Philippines President and Davao Archbishop Romulo Valles at Malacanang. The one-on-one meeting began at 4 in the afternoon and lasted for half an hour. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque says that after the meeting, the President agreed to stop issuing statements against the Catholic Church. Authorities are looking into politics as the reason for the assassination of 13 Martires Vice Mayor Alexander Lubigan on Saturday. The Philippine National Police is also checking on other local officials in Calabarzon region who are also receiving threats. Let's find out why from Victor Cosare.
Police investigators see political rivalry as the motive behind the killing of 13 Martires Vice Mayor Alexander Lubigan on July 6. Cavite Police says the Vice Mayor announced his intention to seek election to a higher position the day before he was killed.
Matatapos na yung term niya as Vice Mayor, so isang option na tinitingnan niya ay tumakbo sa mas mataas na posisyon which is pagiging mayor. And in fact, sinasabi ng kaibigan din niya na nag-signify na siya ng intention to run for a higher office.
This development prompts Police Region 4A Director Police Chief Superintendent Edward Carranza to order an investigation and hear the side of Mayor Melandres de Sagun on the case. He, however, clarifies that Mayor de Sagun is not among the persons of interest in the crime.
Sa normal crime na ganyan, di ba, we get all the information from sources. So, since he's a public official, we'll also get some information from the incumbent city mayor of 13 Martires.
Following the deaths of Tanawan City Mayor Antonio Halili and 13 Martires Vice Mayor Alex Lubigan, the Philippine National Police is now checking on other local officials in Region 4A who are also receiving threats.
Bayan na kasi nating maulit to. There be intense presence of the police, and we will be also asking my PD to review their checkpoint.
Authorities are also examining whether both local officials were killed using the same firearm, as the bullet shells found in the crime scenes were of similar caliber. Victor Cosare, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
Tanawan City Hall employees are set to undergo stress debriefing following the death of Mayor Antonio Halili. Here's why from Charlie Barredo.
It was an emotional Monday for employees of the Tanawan City Hall in Batangas, 1 week after the traumatic assassination of Mayor Antonio Halili. Around 500 employees joined the flag-raising ceremony today, many of whom have not yet recovered from the stress after witnessing the actual shooting of the mayor.
Alam namin na marami pang empleyado yung traumatized, yung natatakot dahil naalala nila yung naganap noong nakaraang Lunes.
This prompted the city government to schedule a stress debriefing for affected employees.
Nakipag-coordinate na ako sa aming HR department head at isa yan sa mga priority namin dito ngayong transition period na yung ating mga empleyado ay magkaroon ng stress debriefing dahil alam natin na talagang traumatizing yung nangyari.
Jacqueline Landicho of the City Hall's Human Resources Department says the debriefing would depend on the employee stress levels.
Depende sa level ng stress and trauma na experience kasi very traumatic talaga na makita mo yung mayor nagkaganon.
Meanwhile, Mayor Villamor is contemplating whether or not she would continue Halili's Walk of Shame campaign in line with the local government's effort against illegal drugs. She also allayed fears of employees under job order status as the LGU has no plans of retrenchment. Villamor says she wants to carry on with the projects that the slain mayor had started. Charlie Barreto, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Region 4A Police reveals that 2 Toyota Innova vehicles, 1 silver and 1 yellow gold, were spotted within the City Hall premises prior to the assassination of Mayor Antonio Halili of Tanawan City. Police Senior Superintendent Edwin Quilates, the Provincial Director of Batangas PNP, says the vehicles were seen during 3 consecutive flag-raising ceremonies on June 18, 25, and July 2, citing accounts from the guard of the nearby Loyola del Garden Memorial Park. Authorities confirmed that the plates of the said vehicles were fake. An investigation on the possible owners and sources of the vehicles is underway.
Actually, on that aspect, we are relying on the capabilities of our Highway Patrol Group counterpart, Noel. So, sana magkaroon tayo ng medyo konting linaw o lead to unmask the identity of these vehicles at saka yung mga occupants.
Malacanang insists there is no system or pattern in the spate of killings of local government officials. The palace also denies that this will lead to the declaration of nationwide martial law. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
Concerned government agencies are still working to resolve the series of killings of 3 local officials in the past week. The victims are Tanawan City Mayor Antonio Halili, General Thio Mayor Ferdinand Bote, and 13 Martires City Vice Mayor Alexander Lubigan. According to Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque, the investigators are looking into all possible angles to establish the motives in the killings and to capture the perpetrators. Roque adds the government sees no pattern or system on the said crimes amid reported theories on the assassination of these politicians.
There's no system behind the killings, but the common obligation of the state is to accord justice and of course a domestic remedy to all victims of these killings.
Malacanang also notes the possibility that the killings are related to political rivalry because the 2019 national elections is fast approaching. The palace also denies that the crimes committed against the local chief executives will lead to the declaration of nationwide martial law.
Martial law is only for rebellion or invasion. Dalawang basehan lang po yan. Kahit ilang pa yung patayan na yan, kung walang rebellion at walang pananakop, wala pong dahilan para magkaroon ng martial law sa buong Pilipinas.
Senators Aquilino, Coco Pimentel, and Vicente Soto III support the palace statement.
Impossible. No way. No way. No way.